All right, what's up, everybody? And good afternoon to all. Continuing along, of course, our Wednesday afternoon here, live in the Cyber Group Trading Room and streaming across social media, Facebook and YouTube live. Welcome on back, guys. Let's get a quick sound check just to begin and make sure everyone can hear me loud and clear. Mark says ready to go. I say ready to roll. We have class on the horizon this afternoon, guys, lined up at 3:05 p.m. So, I want to go very quick here. I always say I like to go quick, but normally I keep it going. So what we'll do, guys, is really just go right from top to bottom. Like I'd said, for all of us live in the trading room, at least, we'll be continuing the phase 2 stock course. We'll be having a long discussion. Well, I catch myself in these puns. No pun intended, but we're going to have a long discussion about level 3, but specifically going over a long trade, buying a stock, interpreting the ECN book level 3, and going a bit more intricate with strategy, discussing market maker, refreshing, manipulation, layering even perhaps. So for right now, taking us into this afternoon is KNDI up 67+% at this point, right? So, we posted the news in the chat board just a bit earlier. I'll actually look to repost that for all of us on YouTube Live and Facebook here in a second. But yeah, KNDI, we ended up seeing getting halted news related volatility halt, at least as news came out at the time. But you could see it ended up reopening up, gapping up much higher, reopening up once again with a new gap. So this KNDI trade, I'm going to post the news like I'd said just here. One of our students, Daniel, ended up picking up some change on this trade. He was in from 550-ish, 560, kind of right off the halt. He ended up taking the money and running pretty quickly, rightfully so, when it reopened up that much higher. So congrats to Daniel, at least for the afternoon right now, guys. What we'll do is just put this on our main list. Given the 2 or 3 halts already across the day, it's not to say it can't get halted again going forward, but it's to say that this stock, if it continues to push up, it's only going to get more volatile. So, this stock right now, you can see it's holding underneath for the most part 650, 12,830 share order on the ask. He was popping in and out there on the right hand side. There you go. You'll see him appear, reappear, so forth. So for right now, yeah, we'll see where this takes us going into the afternoon. KNDI off 650 perhaps. All right, so we'll keep it going. Tupperware, we ended up doing pretty well on this trade. I ended up just taking a small loss. I'll go over that in just a second. As we speak, I just got stopped out. But Tupperware ended up exploding. As soon as the market opened up, we ended up seeing a nice pre-market trade on there, a trend on this going into 930. But, whereas normally I would anticipate on this stock pulling back at the opening bell, ended up taking off. So I'll be honest, whereas Fausto and a lot of you guys here in the trading room are doing really well in this trade, this wasn't really one of my first 3 or 2 stocks that I personally was looking at. So I ended up missing the first pop. I didn't want to chase, and the thing just kept moving on up without me. I was really upset by that. And I'll continue to talk about how I did this morning because today was kind of a wonky day for me. Thankfully up, but took a damn long time to actually get a winning trade on my hands. But yeah, for right now, Tupperware, we ended up seeing the stock make a nice pop over strong level 1576. Moved up towards 16. I personally just jumped in when it ended up breaking over 16. I jumped in off the pop. I wanted a hell of a lot more than we ended up actually getting. Ended up holding a lower high, essentially off the high of the day, 1625, 1620-ish. And then once it broke 16, I ended up getting out. I took a 6-cent loss, pulled back, of course, to this support here, 1575, 1576 or so. I'm not going to hold on that long. We also have class, just like I'd said, this afternoon. So, hey, if we're in the class live and we see this run up, maybe I'll take another entry over 16. If it's not breaking higher, there's only one other way the stock's going to go. So I like the fact it's still holding near its highs, but it just goes to what I had said. If this fails to break higher and ends up really slamming under support here coming up, it'd be a really good opportunity to try and short. So, either way, long or short, we'll see where this Tupperware trade takes us going into the afternoon. All right. Kodak, KODK. I guess I'd be remiss to not bring this up here to begin. So, man, this thing. So we were talking about this during Fausto's morning meeting, of course. At the time, it was only around a measly $15, $16 at the time. Obviously, you see what happened here, guys. This thing just exploded. Not to say this is, rare. I mean, we see this actually quite often, not to say every day, not even to say every week that we see a stock go from like 5 to 60 in a 2-day span, but to see a stock make, a 400, 500% move across a day, across a couple of days, we've seen it before. EQ, Wimmy, Carve back a month ago. With Carve, we had U1, went from 5 to 50 at the time across a few days. So, we'll catch this every now and then, but what goes up does come back down. So with the number of halts that we saw this stock, or with the number of halts this stock had on the way up, well, look what happened, of course, after it hit its peak. It got halted on the way down, and then when it got halted on the way down, it ended up reopening about 20 points lower. So, that's why we try and get in and out of these trades rather quick. I know it's easy for me to say that, but, anytime you see a stock go up this much parabolically, it's going to come back down. And we talked about this actually in the phase 2 class earlier this morning, simply just in terms of the float. The stock has a pretty small float. We've seen smaller, but 8.18 million shares. So this is exactly the type of stock that can potentially make this type of move, if anything, to see it like we did, yesterday, to see it go from 5 to 10 or 11. But usually what makes, this type of move up does pull back down, and typically will end up pulling back much lower. So it wouldn't surprise me for this Kodak trade if it ends up re-breaking support, pulling back here. Listen, ended up doing so well on this trade earlier today and from yesterday. I'm not going to put this on our list just yet. Given the move, given the run and the volatility, you would like to think I would. But like I'd said before, if this ends up failing to get back over 40, I could see this really pulling back that much further into the afternoon. All right. Give me a split sec here, folks. That's why. Okay. All right. I just got stopped out on another trade, just a dinky 2-cent loss, but that's been the story of my day today, guys. We'll keep going down this percent gainers list for right now, and I'll tell you what happened. But for right now, ONDK, really choppy, up and down, up and down. I guess it's kind of near the highs going into the afternoon, but it's almost like too slow. I want to find something moving a little bit sharper, a little bit better. This BGFV, not to say it's moving like better, but it's moving sharper. And we ended up seeing this make a nice pop off support from 6, moved up through 650, ended up making a nice run close to 7, topped off at 693. But yeah, this one is more volatile. It looks like it's kind of coiling itself up, waiting for a big move into the afternoon. The stock also, like Tupperware, is shortable. So if this ends up crapping out the total opposite direction, ends up re-breaking support 650, in that case, I'd say why not, right? But for right now, it's still holding support. Look to see this make a move up closer to 7. All right, what else do we have here, guys? SNOA, pump and dump, probably a very low float stock as well. Oh, like 6 times smaller of a float compared to Kodak, 1.88 million. Eesh. Yeah, not surprising to see this pop up early in pre-market and never really find a nice opportunity to break out higher into the afternoon. So dumped right back down. The warrants I didn't want to get to on Blink, but we'll get to the actual ticker, BLNK. I saw Jason called this one out earlier, rightfully so. Very good call at the time. Squeezed up from his call off of 9, pretty much up to 10. Pop and drop from 10, still kind of holding near the highs. It's one that we are familiar with. So at least for right now, I don't mind adding Blink. Skipped over LB in the process. L Brands ended up making a nice run off of earnings this morning. Popped from 23, 25-ish, all the way up towards the eventual high of the day, 2666. Ended up kind of flattening out. Looks like it's trying to make a little bit of a move back up, perhaps. Kind of for the same reason as Blink, I'll add this to our list still. We're probably more familiar with Blink over the last month compared to this LB trade, but tight spread, more of a name brand stock, so to say. Although the volume's really been declining since the morning, it's still trading a lot of volume currently, about 30 to 40,000 shares per minute on or off. All right, ARLO, kind of a familiar name. Looks like it ran up earlier, dumped back down though. MNK, pharmaceutical stock, ended up making a nice pop today. I don't know if there's any news on this trade. I didn't see this on my earnings calendar going into the week, but it kind of seems like it's making a move back up towards that 250, holding essentially a rounded bottom, higher lows moving back up to resistance. Anytime I look at MNK, I look at Teva. Anytime I look at Teva, I look at Mylan. All these pharmas kind of move together. So for what it's worth, Mylan is really doing well, up just about up 5%, holding underneath high of the day, resistance likely off 17. Teva, pretty much doing the same thing, holding under 12. And then MNK, I mean, it's, up the most percent-wise. So going into the afternoon, at least for right now, I wouldn't mind at least adding this MNK and the MYL. Maybe I'll hold off on Teva. Kind of seems slower compared to the other two. All right, we already have a nice little list here, guys, to begin. I don't want to put too many on. Let's see what else we can get. CLSK ended up running up earlier this morning, a continued move from yesterday. I mean, really a continued move across the last month. Ended up running up, of course, as you could see, through 6, held it as support pretty nicely. And then from there, ended up squeezing up pretty nicely up towards 734. Give me a split sec, folks. Oh, you know what's funny right now? Really fast. I heard like a cell phone go off in the back, and I thought that was, my cell phone. It wasn't, and thankfully so, but it was actually from the TV. I have Fox Business behind me, and one of their phones just ended up ringing, and through my headset, I thought it was mine. All right. I don't want to get off course here. Let's see what else we can get. MGI, MoneyGram. Ooh, nice run up on this MoneyGram stock. Moving up from essentially 320 up to 354 high of the day. Resistance on the ask at 360, 22,000 plus share order. All right, so yeah, for right now, we'll put this on our list. MGI, nice level 1 trade at least. Oh, give me a quick sec. I got to replug my headset in now. All right, well, still holding strong near the highs. MGI, we have MYL, MNK. We got a few M's on the board here. All right, let's see. On the gainers side, I think that's just about it, guys. No other like familiar names, at least. If there's anything up like 10% or more that looks incredible, type it here in the chat board. Let me know. Want to give a big shout out to Philip. Philip B ended up calling this ALEC trade out, I mean, flawlessly inside our trading room. He's familiar with the company. He was reading up on some news with, I guess it was like with one of their drugs. Alex, the pharma company, ended up making a huge dump off in pre-market. And from what Philip had studied up on, their reports and everything, he had said that they're actually pretty good. His belief was that investors were just dumping off frantically and it was going to make a bounce. I want to give Philip a big shout out. Not everyone ends up, calling their shot, taking it, and ended up making like the perfect move. He was saying he had entered at 1496 here at the time, made a double bottom, so he hung on. And he was looking for 17. Now, he probably wasn't expecting this wacky pop. So once he had called it out and saw it run over 16, I mean, he ended up just getting out. I forgot his exact exit. Philip, if you're tuning in, if you could tell us where you ended up getting out. I forgot where exactly. Oh, actually, you know what? Nice. Okay, good. So it's not, I don't need to scroll down too far on the chat board, actually. So I don't know if Philip's here or not, but I ended up just catching his chat. So I'm going to copy and paste it for all of us here inside the trading room, across social media. Philip B inside our trading room ended up killing it. Got in from 1496. He actually got out at 1810 when it squeezed up here. So fantastic trade there from Philip. But yeah, right now, guys, going into the afternoon, this stock is still down big. My personal gripe on this trade at this point now, I mean, Philip cleaned house on this trade and it spiked all the way up to 18. It's just got a wacky spread, thinner order book. So, it ended up making a nice run up from Philip's call out. For right now, I don't know how much more it's going to give us either way. All right. BE, another stock. I think they're coming out with earnings, or they came out with earnings actually this morning or yesterday afternoon. Let me just double check on that. I know that they were one of the many companies we had on our earnings calendar this week. Yep, looks like after the bell yesterday. All right, well, big drop off, not even in pre-market, just really after the market opened up, dumping off right away. Still holding strong near the lows, so kind of inversely to seeing a stock near its highs. I do like this. So yeah, BE, more on the short side, but otherwise for right now, you could see, I mean, it made a bounce off 1180, 1178 the low, and for what it's worth, a big volume spike here shortly after 230. Probably a lot of short covering, but that doesn't necessarily mean a true reversal. It looks like someone unloaded at 12.235. All right, well, I'll draw the line for all of us here inside the trading room. That 12.23, 12.24 yellow line I have up there, it's definitely going to create a level going into the afternoon. You can see after it broke over that price and those prints came in a few moments down the line, it broke under it, and now it's holding really well under 12.24. So, there might be more to come on this run down here for BE. This one's too expensive. Container store, shortable, below $5, down big. Not really doing too much though. R, just the symbol R, interesting. Rider system. I guess big drop off today, kind of light volume currently, trading about 4,000 or 5,000 shares per minute. That's all. VSLR, same thing. Not a whole lot going on, guys. I mean, a few tradable stocks that I see on the loser side. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to look to trade it. I think that BE one out of all of these, they kind of have the same pattern, but BE definitely looks a lot sharper. It's one we're more familiar with, perhaps. All right, from Doug. Welcome on back, Doug. We got a QLGN. Let's take a look. Yeah, nice call. I take a look at my Benzinga Pro right now. I wasn't looking at that just before. And actually, I could pop it up for you guys here during the meeting today. I'm actually working right from our office, whereas normally I'm doing this from my home office. So it's like through two different networks. But yeah, QLGN, we got the ping on Benzinga shortly after we started this meeting. QLGN, KNDI, a couple others. Looks like KNDI still going here. Yeah, QLGN, definitely. Great call, Doug. All right. From YouTube also, I'm just checking social media first, guys. From NL, we got CHK. What's the symbol on CHK, though? It's not just CHK anymore. Is it like CHK dot something? CHK, didn't they file for bankruptcy? They may have become an OTC stock, if I'm not mistaken, no? All right, we're not going to trade it if it's OTC at least. All right, so let me check out the trading room here, guys, if there's any better call outs here from John. Solo. Yeah, nice call. So Solo is an EV company. I don't know if you guys know that. It's actually in the name. I mean, Electronomedica, Vehicle Corp. So Solo, nice pop here so far from 295 up to 334. I'll check in on Neo while I'm at it. What were the other EV companies? It was Nikola, Neo, obviously Tesla. I think Blink, BLNK is also an EV, if I'm not mistaken. Blink Charging. All right, well, either way, it doesn't seem like they're all like moving together, like all of the EV stocks. But yeah, great call, John. Solo, definitely. And we are familiar with this trade. Just looking at the daily chart, we ended up trading this going back into late June, early July off the pop. John says BE, which is, I guess, related to EV as well. BE and BLNK are chargers. They produce chargers, I guess, for the electric vehicles. Awesome. All right, fifth time's the charm here from Steven in our chat board, who's been asking, please look at this HTBK. I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't mean to sound blunt. We're not going to look to trade a stock like this going into our afternoon. It's only trading 208,000 shares. That's like peanuts compared to what we would want to look for at this time of the day. It's only up 1%, and it's not really doing a whole lot. So, hey, we'll look to talk about scanning the market, guys, inside our Phase 1 stock course next month. But otherwise, we'll look to go through the afternoon here live in class in just a few moments. SLV creeping up, says Daniel. Yeah, this one definitely is one I'd rather focus on. Silver ETF looks like it's skyrocketing, not up a whole lot percent-wise, but obviously given this late run here, it's going to be hard to not put this on our list. SLV also at the same time, I'm just going to assume PAAS, Pan American Silver. It's not moving up as sharp as the ETF. Take a look at Nugget. Looks like all metallics are running here, guys, after the Fed. I normally have the S&P or the Dow Jones up at least here. I didn't have it up for this meeting. Sorry about that. We're checking on the SPY ultimately. Popping up pretty nicely. So, you know what? I might altogether just put metallics like metals, gold, silver, etc. on our list. Definitely SLV though is like on the top of that side subsidiary list there of the metals. All right, guys, I'll tell you, I think that we have a really good list now at this point. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, and then metals altogether. So it's kind of a big list. Metals aside, 11 other stocks in total heading into our afternoon, guys. Pat says it's a Josh list, if anything. Absolutely. All right, guys. So like I said, class on the horizon lined up at 3:05 p.m. Eastern time for all of us here live inside the trading room. Phase 2, lesson 2, that will begin very shortly. For all of us streaming across social media, if you'd like to learn more about the Cyber Group trading room that I'm referring to here, or of course the Phase 2 stock course coming up this afternoon, make sure that you guys just call the phone number down below. One of our education advisors will pick up, just provide more detail. All right, for the few of us not joining me in class, because I know that there's just a few members inside our trading room that don't have access to the classes just yet. Guys, I know that Fausto, I know that Rich will be moderating the trading room going into the close. Keep in mind, listen, if there's a stock that's extremely volatile, if you're uncomfortable trading it, don't trade it. We don't look to gamble here, guys. So we look to make very educated decisions based on momentum, based on volume and strong support resistance price levels. So for something like KNDI here, as much as this ran up, I would love to see it continue going into the close. But with as much as this ran up, it's only going to get more volatile. So as a newly enrolled member, as someone who's not a student just yet, please, guys, make sure that you talk to your education advisor. At the least, they'll give you more info as far as what you need to know. All right, guys, I'll see most of you guys coming up in class in just a few. Take care.